Ready? ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये. Please repeat once after me. सुरेशः शरणं शर्म विश्वरेताः प्रजाभवः अहः संवत्सरो व्यालः प्रत्ययः सर्वदर्शनः. I hope you are comfortable chanting this way, entirely one sentence in one breath. That is how it is normally chanted. So we just started off with the 10th shloka in the previous class, and we saw that the 10th shloka has 10 namas. Nama number 85 to 94 is contained in this 10th shloka. And we saw the 85th nama Sureshaha, meaning who is the Lord of all Devatas, Suranam Ishaha. And we saw the 86th nama Sharanam. Sharanam is not only a verb, but here in Sahasranama, Bhishmacharya attributes this name as he learnt from his guru, Sanat Kumara. He attributes this name Sharanam as a noun. It is the name of the Lord himself. He is himself called Sharanam, the ultimate refuge. And he being the ultimate refuge, he is not only the one who gives you freedom within samsara, all the material things that bother you in life, all the people or the situations, the objects because of which you are in sorrow and you seek refuge, it is not only the material can also be your body, okay? You can keep having trouble from your body and mind as well. So anything that gives you trouble within this created world, within this samsara, he is the refuge. He is the only refuge. And for those who seek freedom from the samsara itself, for them also he is the ultimate or the only refuge. And we saw that one has to tap his grace. His grace is always available. He is impartial. It is not that he gives his grace only to some and he shuts the door for others. No, there is nothing of that sort. Just that one has to tap his grace for being beneficial, for being the beneficiary. And sometimes when our own prarabdha is pressing from all directions, prarabdha can be so powerful that it can overpower our ability to tap his grace. Even then, even at those times, what is said is, don't get bogged down. Continue to pray and continue to prepare your mind to receive his grace. And how do you prepare your mind to receive his grace? It is only again by showing bhakti on him, continuously by staying devoted to him. Even then, even when your prarabdha is all powerful, still he is the ultimate refuge. Will he really come? if I call him. For that only we saw the Arthatrana Parayana Stotra, where it says, there are 6 examples, remember. And I also remember this bhajan, which I've heard from childhood. There is one Hindi bhajan. It says, कौन कहते हैं भगवान आते नहीं, तुम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं. Who said Bhagavan will not come? Did he not come for Meera when she called? So how did he come for Meera? No, she is Meera, he'll come. How will he come for me? I am not Meera. No, because you did not call like Meera. You call him, you worship him just like how Meera worshipped, or just like how the others, we saw Prahlada, Vibhishana, Gajendra, Panchali, Ahalya, and Dhruva. We saw 6 examples in the previous class. Worship him like them. As the ultimate refuge, he is definitely available for anybody who calls out to him. There is a funny story that, we all Acharyas quote, at least many of us we quote. Bhagavan Sriman Narayana, how does he lay in the Parkadal, in the Kshira Sagara? He is in Ananta Shayana on the Adiseshan, right? And it's a wonderful spring bed where he is lying, and he has Lakshmi Devi to do the leg massage for him. And he is wonderfully laying in Hari Tuyil, what is called, he doesn't, in Yoga Nidra, he doesn't sleep like us, missing the alarm. So he is in Hari Tuyil, and somebody on earth, there is somebody, some Bhakta on earth, in pain, he is screaming, Allah, Allah, he is screaming. Obviously, he belongs to a different faith, right? What happened? Sriman Narayana immediately opens his eyes and he gets up. Just like how somebody calls you, what are you doing? You're sleeping. You immediately, what should I do for you? Like that, he got up. When he got up, Lakshmi Devi was wondering, why is he getting up? He was not called, no? Lakshmi Devi, he adjusts his dress, and he prepares to leave along with his Shankha, Chakra, Gada, everything. So Lakshmi Devi is like, hey, where are you going? You were not called. That fellow is calling somebody else. You were not called. He says, in whatever name he calls, he is actually calling me. When I am the every name and form, who else can he call? Well, he likes me in a different form, perhaps, in a different name, perhaps. Don't worry, I will go to him in that name and form only. Don't worry. And he immediately leaves. So, yo yam tanum bhaktaha shraddayarchitum ichchati tasya tasyachalam shraddam tameva vidadamyaham. Bhagavan Krishna says in the 9th chapter of Gita, whoever calls me in whatever name, whichever bhakta, yo yam tanum bhaktaha, he calls me shraddayarchitum ichchati. He worships me with all shraddha, with full devotion, and he believes that I will protect him, right? That I am there for him. Tasya chalam shraddham, just according to that person's shraddha, according to the level of that person's shraddha, tameva vidadamyaham, I give him the fruits for his bhakti, for his worship. In any name, let him call me, no problem. So, Akashat patitam toyam yata gacchati sagaraha sarva deva namaskaraha. Where does it go? Keshavam pratigacchati. So, he is not the only God. We don't say one God, okay? We don't say only he is God and the others are not God. He is, that's all. He is the one who is. If at all you attribute existence in the name of any God, in any faith you call by any name and you say only this God is, Well, we are here to say that easiness that you attribute to any devata you call by name, that easiness, that very existence is Keshavaha. All right. So this is the 86th Nama, Sharanam. So he is always there for you. 87th Nama, Sharma. Sharma means the one who is in the form of Ananda. Shankara says, Paramananda Rupatvat Sharma. Paramananda Rupaha means Paramananda Rupatvat, meaning of the nature of limitless happiness. We understand what happiness is, right? Any moment of happiness that we pick up in life, attributing to accomplishment of any object or anything in life, or any environment that keeps us happy, what we experience is only a fraction, right? It doesn't last long. The happiness comes, but it doesn't last long. However, even if it doesn't last long, even if it is only for a fraction of a moment, what we experience is a fraction of Ishvara. Because he being the limitless happiness, any happiness has to be him. It cannot be different from him. So he is the very happiness itself. He is not only the object outside or the object inside that keeps me happy, because he is every substance and every name and form. He is also the very emotion of happiness which I experience in every worldly transaction that is comfortable for me. Because he is beyond the emotion of the limited or experiential happiness also. He is Paramananda Rupaha, meaning he is the limitless happiness. 88th Nama is Vishvaretaha. Vishvareta means he is the seed of the universe. Vishvaretas, Vishvasya Karanatvat Vishvareta, the seed for the entire Jagat. So for a seed to germinate, a womb is required, right? For any retas to germinate into a baby, a womb is required. And Bhagavan Krishna in the 14th chapter of Gita, he says, Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadhamyaham sambhavas sarva bhutanam. Memory is limited. So he says, the idea, what I'm trying to say here is, he says, I impregnate Maya, and I be the father of this Jagat, and she becomes the mother. The Maya Tattva, who is not different from me, who is the name and form. How does these names and forms appear? The appearance is because of Maya. That Maya which does not have an existence separate from Ishvara. So he says, she becomes the mother principle and I am the father principle. And in another place, in I think the 9th chapter, he says, Pitamahasya jagataha mata data pitamaha. He says, Asya jagatasya pita ahamasmi. I am the father of this universe, right? So even if there is any father sitting in between the heaven, I am the father of him also, because heaven is also a created entity, right? It comes under Srishti. The heaven and all the citizens of any loka, he is lokasya prabhu. Therefore, he says, I am the father of this entire universe. Asya jagatasya pita. Who is the mother? He says, I am the mata also. And pitamahaha api ahamasmi. I am the grandfather also. What does this mean? I am the father, I am also the grandfather. It means he is the causeless cause. Because when we say he is the father, so generally in our experience we know that we have a father who is our cause, and our father is a son to somebody else. So he is a karya to another karana. There is a father's father. So this is the normal understanding that we have. To rule out the doubt that we may have whether Bhagavan may have a cause, he says, I don't have a father. If at all you want to take somebody as my father, that also has to be me only. Therefore, he is Vishwaretaha. He is both the seed and the womb also. Aham Pita, Aham Mata, Aham Pitamahaha. 89th Nama, Prajabhavaha. Prajabhavaha means he is the source of all beings. Shankara says, Yat sakashat sarvaha prajaha udbhavanti. From whom all the prajas, all the people are born, udbhavanti, come into existence. Because all the prajas are born from him, he is called Prajabhavaha. And all prajas are, how are they born? They are born with bodies, right? Are all prajas given the same bodies? No. They are given different types of bodies. And how do they have different types of bodies? Christianity or Islam will not give you the explanation for it. You are supposed to shut up and believe whatever is told. You are not supposed to question there because they are faith based. Sanatana Dharma is not faith based. You have the knowledge in it and it allows you to raise questions to get clarified. So if you ask, why am I having this body while somebody else seems to have a body superior than me? And there are some others who seem to have bodies inferior to me. So why is there a discrimination? Is God partial, that he has given good bodies to somebody and bad bodies, or not so great bodies to others? Bhagavan does not have any partiality towards anybody. In Gita he says, Samoham sarvabhuteshu namedveshyosti napriyaha. I am equal to all. There is nobody who is very dear to me and there is nobody who I hate. So in what basis? What is the basis in which he gives bodies? It is according to one's purva karma. So it is according to my purva karma that I have got this particular body. I am born in a particular parentage, in a particular city or country or in a culture. It is all according to my own karma. And therefore, we saw that he is the womb for all the jivas and he is also the retas. He is both the father principle and the mother principle. And of what? Of this universe, which has a lot of variety that is created by him. And because he is the source of all beings, he is called Prajabhavaha. 90th Nama, Ahaha. Ahaha. A, Hakara and Visarga. In Sanskritam, there is a difference between the Hakara, Ha alphabet, and the Visarga. Though the pronunciation could look similar, there is a lot of difference. Okay? So whenever you are writing Ahaha in English, suppose you are writing it in English, don't write A-H-A-H-A. Okay? Ahaha. No, not like that. It is Ahaha. One who, aha means day in Sanskrita, the daytime. So one who is in the form of the day. Shankara says, Prakasha Rupatvat ahaha. Because he is luminous like the day. He is bright and luminous like the day. He is called ahaha. Also, we saw that he is the one who is in the form of the sun itself. And you know, Surya Devata in Sanskrita, he's got a lot of names. And one of the names he has is Divakaraha. Surya Devata is called Divakaraha. Divas means day again. And Divakaraha means one who makes the day. So you don't have to look out for who is going to make your day today. He is on the way to make your day. So he makes everybody's day. And your day is made when you do namaskara to him, because he is also Pushanaha. He fills you with all the energy, all the vital energy that is required. And that is why in those parts of the world where you don't have proper energy of the sun, you know, the sun is very dull. You don't have the enough heat and light of the sun. And most of the year it is dull weather, cloudy and, you know, like that. You have people having all sorts of emotional problems, psychological problems, and they look dull and, you know, lost of energy. They can't even smile. When you smile, they don't smile back. They don't have the energy in them. The mind is weak, the body is weak, the prana is weak, everything is weak. And you come to the parts of the world where the sun is shining bright, you see people with a lot of energy. That is why Surya Devata is also called Pushanaha. He is the one who supplies you with energy and nutrition. Therefore, he is in the form of the sun. Because he is in the form of sun and moon, with which time is calculated, he is also the time principle itself. In Ujjain, he is worshipped as Mahakaleshwaraha. The Kala Tattva is none other than Ishwaraha. Time is something that has to be respected. Unless you know to respect your time, you will never learn to respect others' time. If you are a person who doesn't care about being late, postponing things, being lazy, where is the question of, you know, the teaching of respecting others' time and being on time, being punctual? So, here Bhagavan, as he is referred as the day itself or the time principle, we know that the other philosophical meaning is, as the daylight removes darkness, daylight is known for removing the darkness that is there in the night or in the absence of the light. Similarly, Bhagavan, being all effulgent, being all knowledge, shining with knowledge, he helps to remove my ignorance. And to whom does he give the knowledge? To the one who asks him. In Kurukshetra, there were 40 lakh people. Not everybody asked him for knowledge. Who asked him? It was only Arjuna who asked him. And he taught Gita only because Arjuna asked him. Not because of any other reason. Only one reason is there. If there is a question, if at all there is a question, why Krishna taught Gita? And why did he teach only Arjuna? Because he was the only one who asked him. And that is the rule. So, he gives the knowledge to the ones who surrender unto him. Arjuna said, Shishyaste aham shadimam tuam prapannam. I become your student. From now I am your student and I surrender unto you. And please teach me. And from then on, the Gita Upadesha starts. So, the 90th Nama, Ahaha. 91st Nama, Samvatsaraha. Samvatsaraha is here the 91st nama, and also occurs as the 422nd nama, 422, 91 and 422. However, in 422 there is a different derivation and different meaning given. Here in 91, Samvatsara means the one who is in the form of the year itself. So this is Krodhi Nama Samvatsare, Uttarayane, we say that, no? So this is Samvatsara means it is the year, the calendar year. So he is the day and he is the year. He alone marks the time. He is Kaleshwaraha. 92nd Nama, Vyalaha. Vyalaha means, simply means one who cannot be caught hold of. You cannot catch him. Shankara says, Vyalavat grahitum ashakyatvat. Vyalavat grahitum ashakyatvat. Just like how Vyalas, I'll explain what Vyala is. Just like how Vyalas cannot be caught. Just like how it is impossible to catch a Vyala, Bhagavan is also called Vyala because he cannot be caught. Okay, Vyala refers to a category of beings. For example, a tiger or a rogue elephant or venomous snakes or any wicked people. No, these kind of terrorists who manipulate and who are undercover, who go underground. All these people, in Sanskrita, this Shabda Vyala means that these are beings, who are very difficult to catch. To catch them, you really need a lot of skill. It's not easily caught. Very difficult to catch a tiger. It's very powerful. Tiger is extremely powerful. Similarly, an elephant. Catching it and taming it. You know how they catch elephants? They dig a big pit and they cover it with grass. And on the other side of the pit, they tie a lady elephant, a female elephant. And this male elephant has a lot of attraction towards the opposite sex. And it has a weakness in the sense of touch. It likes to go and rub against the opposite sex. So what happens with the urge to go and rub against the lady elephant? It moves forward not knowing that there is a pit there and it falls into the pit. So you need and after the elephant falling into the pit, it is also all the more difficult to pull it out, right? So it is not easy at all. And venomous snakes, no wonder it is very, very difficult and risky. And similarly, catching hold of any terrorist or any serial killer or anybody. So these people are not easily caught, or even if caught, very difficult to tame. Similarly, what is something that cannot be caught is time itself. Time, you can't catch time. Now the clock is running. Now if I wish to finish another 5 shlokas, which is something like another 50 namas, I cannot stop the time. I cannot catch hold of the time and say, wow, we are going to finish 50 namas today. No, that is not going to happen. That is not possible, right? So time cannot be caught. And Bhagavan, we saw, is in the form of time, right? Ahaha, Samvatsaraha. Therefore, he is Vyalaha also. He has to be Vyalaha. He cannot be caught. He cannot be helped or grasped or stopped by anybody. Therefore, but Bhagavan has the capacity, Bhagavan has the skill to bring just everybody under his fold, while he cannot be caught at all. So it is very, very beautifully arranged and very significant that this Nama Vyala occurs after Ahaha and Samvatsaraha. 93rd Nama is Pratyayaha. Pratyaya means consciousness. Bhagavan is called Pratyayaha. He who is in the form of the consciousness principle. Every thought that arises in your mind is blessed by the consciousness principle. And every thought itself is the proof of consciousness principle. Like every name and form that I experience, every color and form that I experience is the proof of my own eyes. I don't need to see my eyes and verify that I have eyes. Every color I see is a proof that my eyes exist. Similarly, every thought is the proof of consciousness. So, what is the proof that Bhagavan exists? The very fact that you are conscious of completing this sentence, asking this question. That is the proof that you exist, is the proof that the questioner exists, is the proof that this thought comes in the mind of the questioner is the proof for the questioner himself. What better proof is required? So every thought is the proof of consciousness because every thought reveals consciousness. And he who is the consciousness is known through every thought. Kenopanishad says, there is an Upanishad called Kenopanishad in Samaveda. Kenopanishad says, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Pratibodha Viditam means every thought, consciousness is evident. As I see my thought arises in the mind and that it is known by me. With this itself, the existence of consciousness is proved. And who is that consciousness? It is me. When I see a flower, okay, I only have a fake flower here. So when I see a flower, and I say flower, this is a real flower. I see a flower. You see a flower? Flower? So there is flower thought, right? Similarly, pot. You see a pot? Yes. So pot, immediately pot thought happens. You see flower, flower thought comes in your mind. You see pot, pot thought comes in your mind. Similarly, when you see Bhagavan, Bhagavan thought comes in your mind. No, it cannot be. If that be the case, then Bhagavan would become an object of knowledge. Bhagavan is never the object of knowledge, right? He can never be the object of knowledge because he is the very subject, the consciousness, pratyayaha. That is the 93rd nama. 94th nama, Sarvadarshanaha. Sarvadarshanaha means one with all eyes. One with all eyes. All the eyes belong to him. Sahasraksha Sahasrapat, Purusha Suktam says, Sahasraksha, not thousand eyes, not with one with 1,000 eyes. Sahasra here implies countless, infinite. In fact, this eyes, whenever you say akshaha, it is the upalakshana for all the indriyas. Eye is only the example. And you have to understand, just like eyes, it applies to all the indriyas. Just like all the eyes are his eyes, all the indriyas, all the noses are his nose, all the ears are his ears, and all the mouth is his mouth. Yeah, all the heads are his heads. All the throat is his throat. This is how Bankim Chandra Chatterjee writes Vande Mataram. He writes, Koti Koti Kant Karakaral Ninada Karale, Koti Koti Bujaihi. All the arms, all the hands are yours. So our supposed to be the national anthem. Today, under the constitution, it is called the national song, Vande Mataram. It was intended to be the national anthem for all the revolution it created. Vande Mataram is fit to be, in my opinion, okay, this is my personal opinion, is fit to be the national anthem of any country. You just have to translate the language. If France wants to translate, it can still make sense for France. Because you worship the motherland as Mata herself, as Jagannatha herself. And the very national anthem is Vishwarupa Upasana. Koti Koti Kanta, Koti Koti Bujaihi. Tumi Vidya, Tumi Dharma, Tumi Hriday, Tumi Marma, Tvam hi Prana Sharire. You know, the very anthem begins with Vishwarupa Upasana. Then imagine if this is how the country is, or our country was. See the quality of people in our country. Everybody would be a Vishwarupa Upasaka. Everybody, a Vishwarupa Upasana, we saw that it gives you, it broadens your mind. You will be able to accommodate everything. That is how our people were. Right? So this country was called Aryavartaha, Arya Avartaha, a land of all noble people. All right, so I think this is enough deviation and we can come back to. Also in the Gita, in the 13th chapter, Bhagavan Krishna says, Sarvatah panipatam tat sarvatokshi shiromukam sarvatah shrutimalloke sarvam avritya tishtati. He says, one who has hands, feet all over, all feet and hands all over. Okay, that is Vishwarupa. Heads, eyes, everywhere. Meaning, all heads that you experience is the head of Ishvara. Every person you experience, everything you experience is not different from him. He is the universal form. Vishvatas Chakshuhu and Vishvaksham. Taittiriya Aranyakam describes Ishvara. So, he is the one whom various darshanas, another way of interpreting Sarva Darshanaha is, Darshana can also mean eyes, right? That is what we saw until now. Darshana also refers to, I can, loosely translated as, okay? Not exactly, loosely translated as philosophies. All our philosophies, our Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, we saw that you have 6 Astika Darshanas and 6 Nastika Darshanas in Sanatana Dharma. We had great philosophers. So, various darshanas, Sarva Darshanaha, various darshanas, what they intend to do? They intend to reveal him. They are trying to reveal Brahma Tattva, who the ultimate principle is. So, he is in the form of Sarva Darshana, the one who every darshana is trying to reveal, although he is properly understood only through Vedanta Darshana, Uttara Mimamsa Darshana, the Vedanta Shastram. So that completes the 10th shloka. Successfully we enter into the 11th shloka. Please repeat once after me. Ajas Sarveshwara Siddhaha. Sorry, I lost the Shruti. Ajas Sarveshwara Siddhaha. Siddhis Sarvadirachyutaha. Now full line, okay? Ajas Sarveshwara Siddhas Siddhis Sarvadirachyutaha. Vrisha Kapira Meyatma Sarva Yoga Vinisritaha. This 11th shloka has numbers 95 to 103. which means it has 9 namas in all, from 95th nama to the 103rd nama. And the 95th nama is Ajaha. Ajaha occurs as 95 here. Also, it comes for two more times. It occurs as the 204th nama, 204, and also as the 521st nama, 521. Here, in the 95th nama, Bhagavad Pada gives the derivation. He says, Na jayate iti ajaha. Na jayate, meaning one who is not born. That is why he is called Ajaha. Something that is not born at all, to a common man, one will be left to a thinking that it does not exist because it was not born. It was never there. No, it was never born, therefore it cannot be existent. What was or what is not born cannot exist. This is the common understanding. But Bhagavan in Mahabharatam, he makes it very, very clear. He says in one of the shlokas in the Shanti Parva, he says, I was not born, I am not born, and I will not be born. He negates the idea. That is, why should he say that, and that he is saying this? Means he is existent. No? That's why he is saying this. Which means he is always there. He has always been there, and he was never subject to birth or death. He says, I always am. That is the meaning. And he says, I am the Kshetrajnaha in all beings, hence I am known as Ajaha, because I always am. The bodies are born and gone, but the jivas are there at all times in all lokas. Therefore, I being the Kshetrajnaha, the indweller, we saw this nama, in every body. Therefore, I continue to exist. I am always there. Therefore, Bhagavan is called Ajaha. So, Ajaha means no birth, no death. When there is no birth and no death, it also means, because in Sanskritam, we call this as Shad Vikara. This is from our scriptures. Now, our scriptures define all sorts of modification as sixfold. And there cannot be a modification out of this six category. The first category of modification. It starts from Asti, being in the womb of the mother. Asti. Then Jayate, being born. Then Vardate, growing. Then Viparinamate. There are some changes that happen in the body. Right? There is some modification. So, the skin shrinks. We grow x-axis wise. Y-axis is Vardate. Growing x-axis is Viparinamate. Modification. Then Apakshiyate. Apakshiyate means there is some depreciation that happens. Slowly our health depreciates. Then Vinashyati, death. So there are 6 modifications that happen in time. Modification therefore implies and presupposes time. It is within time, and it is because of time that things are subject to modification, and that things are bound by time. That is why they are subject to modification. Here Bhagavan is called Ajaha, meaning he is birthless. When he is unborn, there are no further modification. Because he was not born, there is no Vardate, Viparinamate, Apakshiyate, Vinashyati. Right? This is what Bhagavan Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita chapter number 2, 20th verse, which is borrowed from Yamadharmaraja's words in Kathopanishad chapter number 1, Valli 2, mantra number 18. For those students who have studied Kathopanishad 1 to 18, the same verse is bodily lifted and copy pasted by Krishna in chapter 220. He says, Ajo nitya shashvatoyam puranaha. Ajaha nityaha shashvataha ayam puranaha. Ajaha means unborn. Nityaha refers no death. Shashvataha means there is no change, there is no decay. And Puranaha means he is the same since whatever time. Therefore, there is no growth also. Therefore, he does not fit into the Shat Vikara, meaning he is not bound by time also. Ajaha therefore refers to the Swarupa Lakshana of Ishvara, meaning the direct definition of each Ishvara that defines him as the one who is not bound by time. 96th Nama, Sarveshwaraha. Sarveshwaraha. Bhagavad Pada says, Sarvesham Ishwaranam Ishwaraha Sarveshwaraha. The Lord of the entire Jagat. He is the Lord of all the Devatas. Therefore, he has absolute overlordship. All those Devatas who are bestowed with overlordship, the presiding deities of any law in this Jagat, of any principle in this Jagat, he is the Lord of all of them. Therefore, he has absolute overlordship. And all the Devatas and gods gain their power or overlordship only from him. They gain their Ishwaratvam from him, and therefore he is the Lord of all the lords. Sarveshwaraha. Sarvanam Ishwaranam Ishwaraha. Also, Sarveshwaraha, if we split the word, it is Sarva plus Ishwaraha, right? Sarveshwaraha. Sarva and Ishwara. When you call him as Sarva, it means he is everything, right? Everything, all the material, it is him. And when you say he is Ishwaraha, he is the maker. So he is both the material and the maker. He is both the material cause and the intelligent cause. Interestingly, the reference in the Upanishad, I am giving Upanishad reference for those who are studying Upanishads in the course, either with me or in any other Acharya, and also for other students with the hope that it would create more interest for them to join in and study. So, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad in Shukla Yajurveda, the reference is 4:4:22, the mantra reference. Upanishad says, Eshaha Sarveshwaraha. This is Sarveshwara. He is Sarveshwaraha. That is the 96th Nama. 97th Nama, Siddhaha. Siddhaha also occurs as the 819th Nama. We will see it later. Here, Siddhaha means Nitya Nishpanna Swarupatvat Siddhaha. He is the ever accomplished. He is the ever accomplished. So you have certain words for which we need to understand the meaning and how they are related. The first word is Sadakaha. Sadakaha means a seeker. And there is a word called Sadhyaha. Sadhya means the goal or the destination that the seeker seeks to accomplish. Okay, so that the sadhaka seeks to accomplish is sadhya. And how does he accomplish? How does sadhaka accomplish sadhya? It is through a means. That means is called sadhana. And that sadhakaha who has accomplished the sadhya through the sadhana, I hope now you are familiar with these words. Okay, that seeker who has accomplished the goal through the means is called Siddha, the accomplished. Now the question is, which one of these four is Ishvara? Is he sadhaka? Is he sadhya? Is he sadhana? Or is he siddha? Everyone, everything is Brahman, right? Therefore, what is to be accomplished? Sadhya, the goal, is Brahman. And that Brahman is described in the Upanishads as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. He is the one to be known. And the means cannot be separate from Brahman himself, because Brahman is all pervading, he is infinite. Therefore, the sadhaka is also not separate from Brahman, and the siddha is also not separate from Brahman. Therefore, when it is Brahman, that is everything. The sadhya, the sadhaka, the sadhana, the siddha, all are Brahman. Just like how in Gita it is said, Brahmarpanam, Brahma Havihir, Brahma Agnau, Brahmanahutam, everything is Brahman. So when as a sadhaka I say I have to reach Brahman, I'll just take a few minutes and finish this class. As a sadhaka, when I say I have to reach Brahman, all right, Brahman being all pervading and infinite and everything itself, and me, myself itself, not different from me, and I say I have to reach Brahman, it is like saying I have to reach the space, right? Space is all pervasive. It is already here and now. Not that I go and reach space, I am in space. Therefore, it is siddha, it is already accomplished. I don't have to reach it. Shastra says, you are the Chaitanyam, which is the very truth of that space also. You are the consciousness which is Param Brahma, which is also Siddha. So, Ishvara, being Param Brahma, he is always Siddha. He is always accomplished. Then why I don't know that I am Ishvara? There seems to be a distance between me and Ishvara. It feels like he is somewhere and I am somewhere. Shastra says, yes, there is a distance. But the distance is not spatial. It is not like Chennai-Delhi distance or Chennai and New York distance. It is not spatial. Is the distance time-wise? A boy who says, I need to wait for 1 more year to apply for my voter ID, to apply for my license, to gain majority status. So it is not again a distance that is by time. Then what is the distance? It is distance by ignorance. The distance is because of ignorance. It is ignorance-wise distance. Therefore, the solution can only be knowledge, where the distance is resolved, where I get to know that there is no distance at all. Therefore, he is Nitya Nishpannaha, Nitya Nishpanna Swarupaha, meaning he is already accomplished, he is ever accomplished, he is already always existing. Therefore, he is Siddha. The 98th Nama is Siddhihi, where he is defined as the accomplishment or the success. Siddha is, he is the ever accomplished. Siddhihi means he is the accomplishment. We will see that in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.